Well, good morning to all of our students and staff. Thank you for being here for our first annual Career Exploration Fair. Today, we have a hospitality and tourism panel. I will start with myself. My name is Jake Lasko. I am your district manager for junior achievement in the Roaring Fork Valley, assisting students from Aspen to Glenwood to Parachute, Colorado. And today we've got 4 fine panelists. So I will introduce them one by one and let them tell you a little bit about their background. So Courtney Olson, I'll start with you.
Okay. I'm owner and executive director of the Manitou Springs Cliff Dwellings and Museum.
Awesome. Ethan, can you introduce yourself, please?
Why, of course. My name is Ethan Ray. I am a caretaker and tour guide at the Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center in Divide, mainly just helping care for our animals like wolves and other canids, but also educating people about the importance of conservation.
Thank you, Ethan. Laura Rabo, I will let you introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Laura, and I'm the general manager of the Woodland Country Lodge and also the Microtel Woodland Park.
Wonderful. Thanks for being here, Laura. And finally, Brenda Miller, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Brenda Miller. I'm the Human Resources Director for the Doubletree and North Hilton Garden Inn and Homewood Suites, and just hospitality and hotels.
Wonderful. I'm also supported today by Sherry Albertson and Lauren Coons from our Woodland Park and Colorado Springs offices. So thank you for being here this morning. So let's go ahead and jump into the questions. And we'll start with Courtney and kind of go through that same list to keep it succinct. So tell us a little bit about your career, Courtney, and kind of the path of how you got to where you are today.
My path is really unique. My great-grandfather bought the Cliff Dwellings during the Great Depression, and it has just been passed down the line. I lost my father 11 years ago, and so took over the business then.
Okay, awesome. So Ethan, with the great hat on today, tell us a little about how you ended up in the field you're in.
Ooh, good question. So really, I kind of knew I always wanted to do this ever since I was in kindergarten. I mean, I drew pictures saying I want to be an animal caretaker. I wore a crocodile costume going to the zoo. So I'm a big animal nerd, but mainly I really want to help animals, but also teach people about the importance of animals, because if we don't have them, then we're not going to be here. So we all need to figure out how to work together, both in terms of that conservation, but also we can still be who we are, just working with them. So it's kind of a mutual agreement. It's a big passion of mine. So.
Nice. It shows, Ethan, so thanks.
Thank you.
So Laura, tell us a little bit about to your path into hospitality.
I started off as a hairstylist for about 10 years, contracted employee or 1099, so I kind of had my own business with the hair industry. And I went back to college for my business degree when I was doing hair, and my dad bought the Country Lodge and built the Microtel Woodland Park, so I worked for my dad. So
Okay.
love the industry.
Very cool. And Brenda, last but not least, I'd love to kind of hear about your path to where you are today.
I actually started out in college with going into business, and I grew up on a farm, and so actually a veterinarian was kind of my direction. And like I said, I went to college in business instead. Ended up in Colorado and started in the hospitality business, starting at the front desk and things like that, and went into the payroll and benefits, and realized that that was kind of my passion, being with people and helping and enjoying working with individuals and learning about people and meeting individuals, of different cultures and whatnot. And it just kind of grew from there.
Very cool. So you said the C word in there, college. And so for our middle school and high schoolers, as they're getting themselves ready, college may be an option for them. But obviously there's a lot of discussion about the cost and ways to fund yourself through college. So love to hear about maybe some of your own personal experiences about how you were able to fund your education to get to where you were. And I'll kind of leave this open. I don't want to just keep going in the same order. So if someone's ready to go ahead and go.
When I went to school, Pell Grants and federal funding was a good path. Obviously scholarships if you have opportunities for those. And even when you get into the employment industry, a lot of times your employer has reimbursement opportunities as well, especially if you're in the path that you're going in. So sometimes that kind of helps too.
Sure.
I paid for my college when I was working, and the community college makes it affordable to pay for it, so you don't have, to pay it all off when you're 22 years old, 23 years old. And one thing in Colorado, because I'm from Michigan, the Pikes Peak Community College, you can, I think because it's by the military, you can do a business associates there, where in Michigan, your associates is just a basic associate's degree. And so if anyone is around here, I definitely suggest taking that opportunity, because you can transfer to UCCS and do business right away rather than just the basics. And they don't have that in Michigan, at least that I'm aware of. Maybe today they do, but it's nice.
Sure. No, that's a great point, Laura, about transferability and doing some research to understand what your credits mean, because there are obviously a lot of different paths. Courtney or Ethan, anything else to add to this question from your personal experience?
I don't have anything.
So yeah, just kind of add on kind of what other people said. It's just talk to people, talk to your colleges wherever you go to. They are very eager to help, scholarships, grants. And I mean, if you just have to, it's a great support system with your family as well. I mean, your family will do anything to help you. My family does the same thing for me. I not only worked, but I also had my grandparents and my mom, who, bless them, have been with me on this journey for this entire time. And I'm so grateful. So really, you just have to be honest with yourself and also honest with everyone around you, and people will help you. So it's lost in the dark a lot of times, but people are there to help you. So that's what I would say.
Good point, Ethan. That's awesome to think about support systems around you. So as our students are sitting here and they've heard about education wise, but what are some other best practices besides wearing alligator costumes that you did as you prepared yourself for a career when you realized that was a direction you wanted to go? And again, I'll leave that kind of open. You can answer whatever order, whoever's ready.
So, I mean, obviously doing classes, educational experience obviously is a good one, but if you're going into a field like myself, working with animals, volunteer at zoos, volunteer at sanctuaries. Sometimes you do have to put like a down payment for, training, but overall you get that really big experience, and then you can work with, I mean, I worked at the Denver Zoo for a few months, and I figured out that I really want to work with wild dogs like wolves. And then you can also explore other areas. You can also intern at other institutions across countries. You can go to Africa, like I'm going to be doing for wild dogs, or Southeast Asia or South America. So really just get volunteer experience, because if you have an in with a place, then you can probably have a career going after a couple of years. So
sure. And so, Ethan, I want to ask you a follow-up question, since you were brave enough to go first. Now that you're where you are, is there anything you would have done differently, or any other things that you wish you would have known as you're getting yourself ready to continue moving on through your career?
Ooh, good question. Really stick with it in school. There was a couple of times where I just kind of gave up in a way, just because I thought it was too hard, or I wanted to give up. I should say I didn't give up. I just wanted to so badly, but I persevered through, even if you didn't stick the landing. Like myself, I am grateful for where I ended up, because I wouldn't have ended up probably at the Wolf Center. So I have to think about my journey, starting even all the way back with the alligator costume. all the way till now, because there are probably certain points like, oh, I wish I could have done this differently, but I can't change that. And honestly, if I did, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So I really just have to be grateful that I'm on the path that I am. So
I like that answer, Ethan. Yeah, I think what you've learned from your mistakes is almost more valuable than anything. So try again, perseverance, all those key terms that we hear about in life. So who else could share with us a little bit about best practices and getting yourself ready for the career you're in?
I kind of want to piggyback on Ethan when he talked about the volunteering. Even with hospitality, volunteering is huge. You learn a lot of different skills and hone in on a lot of natural skills that you have that help with hospitality as well. You know, the humanity parts of it, learning to, what's the word I'm looking for? Learning to, the empathy and connecting with people is huge, whether it's hospitality or, you know, whether you want to work at the front desk or work in housekeeping or even in food and beverages as a server or a banquet server. You know, those kinds of things are huge, whether it comes naturally or something that you can learn through volunteering. And it's either, you know, volunteering at a soup kitchen or, you know, any of those aspects. You know, you learn a lot of those skills and hone in on them. And that helps a lot in any of the industry through hospitality, even human resources.
Sure. Good points, Brenda. Courtney, I'd love to kind of hear your perspective. You grew up seeing your dad run the Cliff Dwellings. And so, you know, at what point did you realize for yourself that that was kind of the direction where you were going to maybe land yourself? And so then what did you do with your father to kind of be ready for that?
Yeah, I knew right away from a kid that I wanted to be at the dwellings and with my dad, and I would beg to go to work with him throughout the summer, and I shadowed him all the time. And I started out just watering the flowers as a 5-year-old, and it kind of just grew from there. The thing that's really interesting about the tourism industry is that a lot of the time it is a family business. And so I had several friends that were my same age. Daniel Carey, who's at the Cave of the Winds, and he went to work every day with his dad. And the kids at the Flying W Ranch, they went to work with their dad. And so it's a really neat industry in that sense. And it is a family community, and we all support each other. And it's just exciting to know everyone and just build each other up and know that we're all following in our dad's footsteps. And we all just want to make them proud that we can succeed with the business.
Absolutely. That's awesome, Courtney. And I know from some of the businesses that we have here in the Roaring Fork Valley, same thing. Many of them have some generational aspect to them. So it is very fun. And you see that passion not only with the ownership, but then with the employees you hire, because the employees you hire feel that energy and that caring presence that a good owner can bring. So Laura, I want to give you the chance to speak to anything about this question and preparing yourself. Like I said, you've definitely kind of had a path starting with the cosmetology, then moving into hospitality. So I'd love to kind of hear about that.
And to add on to what Brenda was saying, with most jobs, especially with it being a family industry, when someone is working toward volunteer work or going to college, most owners or managers will make sure you have that time off so you can move forward, you know, growing, whether it's with the business or if they're growing outside the business. Most managers and owners want that. And so it's you know, something to talk with, you know, as a college student with your boss to make it happen.
I like that. Yeah. Empowering yourself and controlling your destiny is a really good point. So let's talk a little bit about trends. And maybe we'll kind of throw in a little bit of just the interruption of what COVID was to the hospitality and tourism industry. But from this point, as it being May of 2021 kind of forward, what are some trends you're now seeing in hiring as everyone's starting to try to get back into a more normal capacity?
I think for us at the Cliff Dwellings, you have such a mixture of staff that is afraid and doesn't want to come to work. And then there's some that are really ready to get back to work and be around people and socialize. And so that is something that you have to be so sensitive to. And same with the tourists that are coming in, some of them refusing to wear masks and some of them being fine with it. And generally, everyone's in such a good mood when they're coming to the Cliff Dwellings because they're on vacation, and it's not like that right now. And so that's been a huge change.
With that change, Courtney, kind of a follow-up question, what can the students that are watching this, what can they do for themselves to be ready to be a part of this industry if it's what they're interested in?
In hospitality, you always, and tourism is being hospitable to all of your customers and clients. You just have to do whatever you can to accommodate them and make them happy, because they're going to go back and write a review about you. And you want a good review out there about your business and that they had a pleasant experience no matter what the situation was.
Good point. Yes. There's many an owner has to scramble to a bad Yelp or a Google review. So absolutely. Brenda, Ethan, anybody else have anything to add about kind of what you're seeing in the trends within your industry? And again, what can our students partaking in this viewing, what can they do to help themselves out be ready?
So I think, kind of what Courtney was saying, you have to learn to be hospitable, but to kind of accommodate the safety of your guests and your employees, but also make sure everyone has a good time. But for me at the center, we have actually been seeing essentially more curious minds, because when you're kind of cooped up for a long period of time, you kind of run out of stuff to do at some point. And I've actually met a lot of people who come to the center, and I talk to them, and there have been people who said they either hate wolves or just didn't know much about wolves. And they're just like, oh, I'm just looking for something to do. And so for me, that's actually a good motivator, because I go, okay, I'm going to change your mind about this.
Yeah.
And then after giving them a tour and teaching them about these beautiful animals, they have actually switched their minds. They said, I'm going to protect these animals. I want to do whatever I can. And that for me is a big feeling. And that way they can also spread it to others and teach others. And that's what I think we all need, is just to be more sympathetic and with the whole mask thing as well, because we've had some guests that aren't as compliant. We don't require them outside, but we require them inside. But you do what you can, and then you just hopefully they learn a lesson from all this, and develop it into sympathetic personalities as well. But I've definitely been seeing a lot more just people exploring, and that's what I like to see.
Yeah. I like your curious mind comment, Ethan, because they're being cooped up for a year and not being able to travel the way a lot of people do. Yeah, that's a very natural thing, and that's something I've really thought of. So that's an awesome point. Anybody else have anything to add? Laura, anything else to add?
No, thank you though.
Yeah, you bet. Let's jump into a couple of kind of more fun questions to kind of get to know you guys better and kind of share. And Ethan, you brought this up about the perseverance, but within where you are today and where you started, what were some classes that you wish you would have taken, or maybe even paid more attention to, that would have been very beneficial for where you are today? We can admit our faults. It's okay. We're all human here.
Big one for me would definitely be chemistry and ungulates. Ungulates are the hoofed animals like deer and elk, because I always have people ask me, oh, deer and elk question, which I know a little bit, but I'm in my head going, oh boy, if you're asking me about wolves or predators, I can help you out with that. But I wish I paid attention to that better. But I also love getting those kind of questions, because it does say, okay, I don't know too much about this, so I do my own research. And then, I usually ask people like, hey, what's your email? I can even email you the answer, like, hey, this is what I found out. And that way I can prepare for myself for a similar question the next time. So it really is a big motivator, but I wish I paid attention to those classes more.
Thank you. And thank you for saying the word ungulus. I don't think I'd ever heard of said class. So that's fantastic. You've piqued my curiosity. Now I'm going to Google this once we're done.
It's a fun class. It has a lot of animals in that one.
All right. Who else can share some things that they wish they would have learned or paid more attention to along the path?
I think I focused a lot on the business side of it, and I probably should have paid more attention in history class and learning more about the indigenous people.
And Courtney, that's such a really interesting point because of what you do. Again, as a student today, thinking about not only, oh, do I want to be in tourism or hospitality, but yeah, if there's some aspect, like I said, being the cliff dwellings or anything, like I said, that has a history. You said it's not just being able to be a nice person to be hospitable, but really, like I said, having that broad ability to bring something extra, because that can make you very employable than having that additional gusto on your resume or in your college time. So Brenda, did you have something to add to that?
Spanish. I wished I would have learned Spanish.
Yeah. Multilingualism is definitely here, and it's going to be around, and having that empathy to be able to speak another language is definitely a career boost for sure. My wife is an educator and bilingual in education, and so I know exactly how important that is in our country as we continue to move forward together. So, well, how about this? Let's go one by one. I want to find out one thing that maybe is surprising about your job that somebody may not know. So we'll start with, let's start with Laura.
Going into hospitality, the most shocking aspect of it was the variety of personalities. When I did hair, you were with one client, maybe for a half hour. In hospitality, you're with someone for maybe 20 minutes. But you could write a book. We've run into a lot of interesting scenarios, and it's actually fun if you have a good attitude looking at it, but it's definitely interesting. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Having to bend your brain to occupy the different people that come into a hotel. So yeah, absolutely. Ethan, what about you? What's something, because I mean, you're at the Wolf Center. There's got to be something very surprising that maybe we can't even think of.
I mean, whatever you can picture for animal caretaking or zookeeping, it's kind of what we do.
Right.
But I think the biggest things are that the amount of belly rubs that the wolves require are surprising to people. They are the neediest animals I have ever worked with. And so people seeing them getting belly rubs, like, oh, you're not worried about them? No, they're the biggest babies out there. But the other thing is, just because I've had a lot of people wonder, it's like, oh, do you give them live animals to eat? First of all, no, we don't. Just because that's not going with our message. It wouldn't be fair to the animal we're going in there with. But we've had rabbits and squirrels go in there. And I mean, that's just the circle of life at that point. So a lot of people are surprised we don't give them more live stuff, but we do give them a really good diet overall. They actually get fed really well. T-bone and filet mignon. I mean, they get better fed than I do. So
Yeah.
Other than that, it's kind of what you picture for animal caretaking.
Sure. Yeah, but belly rubs, kind of didn't picture that, but they are wild dogs, and dogs like belly rubs. So I get it. That makes complete sense. Cool.
They're very socialized with people. Also, last thing that's surprising to people, when they do this with their paw, that's not to shake. And I've learned this with my dogs. That means scratch my armpit.
Huh.
They like the armpit scratch, and I've learned that other domestic dogs like that. So if you have a dog, try it.
All right. Ethan, full of fun facts. Thank you. That was good. Courtney, I'll jump to you. Something surprising from your side.
Surprising, but my favorite part of it is that no day is the same. And you go from doing payroll to fixing the toilets to selling tickets at the ticket booth if someone called in sick. And it makes every day so fun because it's never the same.
Yeah, that entrepreneurial spirit of just jumping in and taking on whatever you have to do. And clearly that's a quality that I'm sure you gathered from your father, because that's exactly how he had to manage it as he grew the cliff dwelling from what they were to what they are today. So that's awesome. And Brenda, I'll give you a chance to
Okay.
share with us something surprising.
Things that are surprising. I would say because of the different cultures and diversity that you encounter on a daily basis, there's a lot of unique and interesting things that do happen at the hotels. Things that you can't always talk about or mention, but things that can be quite comical and interesting that you wouldn't see on a daily or normal basis. Even in the United States, you wouldn't see on a normal basis. But it can be quite interesting and fun. A lot of different conferences and competitions and things that come through here from different countries. So it is, you do meet a lot of fun people and a lot of interesting things. It's a lot of fun to be in it.
And you bring up an important aspect of preparing for hospitality and tourism, which is just kind of that sensitivity to other cultural norms, and that people may come here from other countries and have a norm for them that is not a norm to us. So, you know, taking some classes and learning what other cultures do and some of their gestures means can be so impactful to their experience, because it shows that you've taken that extra step to learn about them just as much as
Absolutely.
they try to sometimes learn about us. So I'm glad you talked about that. So, on behalf of Junior Achievement in Southern Colorado, myself and the staff here would really like to thank our panel, Ethan, Courtney, Laura, Brenda. Thank you so much for your time, for the information you have shared for our students. And if any students have any questions, they're happy to get them to their teachers, who can get them to us, and we'll share with the panel and get you guys some additional answers to anything career related for you guys who are interested in learning more. So again, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Lauren, I'll kick it back to you to wrap up.
All right, thank you students and teachers for being with us, and thank you for our panelists, and we will see you next time.